EJ, welcome to
EJ.
today's Satsang at the Haidakhandi Universal Ashram. And I'm Ramloti, and I'm always grateful to be here. And with us is Pujari, who's our co host, and he's here from Russia. So we're all grateful for that. And then, of course, to round out our world view, we have Imam and Mahalakshmi here from Goa in India. So it's quite a lovely time and a wonderful time to be together after many years. So we're grateful. So thank you for being here today or tonight,
Yes,
Thank you
wherever you
so
yes.
are in the
much.
world. So there's
Thank you.
other people. So I'm going to ask
Uh,
either one of you to begin with your stories about coming to Bali.
okay, I'm gonna say a couple of things. First of all, before we go any further, Hiroman, I met him the first time I was in Haidakhandi, 1978, and my idea about him was that if you're gonna get stuck somewhere in the wilderness, you better have him with you.
Right,
He was a
right.
really he was amazing. I mean, he would show up with stuff that he picked out of the fields and would give us teas, and I just loved this guy. Anyway, I just wanted to say it's great to
So,
have him join us.
I hope
So I'm gonna let uh, wonderful Mahalakshmi take the first part of the satsang and talk about how she came to all this and what happened to her and what's going on. And then I'll take over from there.
cool. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Uh, so I was thinking of what I would say, and I didn't think too much about it. I'll just kind of go off the top of my head as things happened. And in terms of my story and how I came to Babaji, I think the first experience I had was when I was 8 years old. And I had kind of I guess you could say, a not so happy childhood. And so I was really sad one evening, and the room was very dark. And all of a sudden, this vision came upon my door. And that's nothing that had happened to me before. And it was this vision of a smiley face, kind of like those smiley faces from I guess it would be late 80s, that you would see the yellow ones. But it was a different kind of a smile. It was this really big smile, like a Joker smile, but nothing evil about it. Absolutely nothing evil. It was complete joy and peace. And I had never seen any face like this in my entire life. And it's very interesting because after I met Imam, I realized, a little while after, I realized it was his face that was on my door. So that was interesting. It was either a dream or one of these waking dreams. So I don't know. I have quite a few of these experiences related to Babaji people or Babaji himself, or I don't know if it's an actual dream or a waking dream. One other experience I'll tell you was when I was 19. I was still very much in a lot of pain and a lot of misery, and couldn't really find my way out of that at all. And one evening, it's very interesting. I woke up again. I'm not sure if this was a dream or I was actually awake. I woke up, and I had a cat at the time. My cat was sort of snuggling me on the bed. And I saw that my cat was looking at something. And I immediately started, my heart went, oh my goodness, what is this that he's looking at? And I saw in front of me a cloud that was like moving in space like this. And I immediately started freaking out inside, like, what is this, a ghost? And so then I fell back asleep automatically. I woke up again. My cat is still looking at something. So I follow again where he's looking. And in front of me was the bust of a man. It was like from here up, again, made of this sort of cloud like material. I saw his face, and there was nothing but peace in this face. And again, I had never seen anybody like this in my life. And my cat was completely calm. There was nothing but love. It was an amazing experience. Then years later, Imam shows me his photo of Babaji, which I'm looking at right now beyond the computer. That is the face. So at the time, I thought it was a ghost. I thought, hey, there's this really nice ghost visiting me. Nobody believed me when I said I saw a ghost, you know. And so that was interesting. And many years later, I was still very much struggling with my own, you know, fear and misery and all these very human things. And I had read the book by Ram Dass, Be Here Now.
Mhm.
I wasn't really familiar with a lot of the hippie stuff and the Eastern stuff at all. I wasn't raised that way. So I had read this book by Ram Dass, and it he described what the guru is, which I had never, had no idea. And let's see, I was 30, so this was about 9 years ago. And I one night I just was at the end of my rope, and I said, "Look, I don't know who my guru is. I hope that I am, I hope that I am good enough to deserve a guru. If you can hear me, please send me somebody that you've worked with that can help me out, because I can't see my way through this thing at all." And oh, by the way, completely asked specifically for this guy right here. I said, "Can you send me someone who can be my partner, who can take me through these experiences, someone who I can have a musical life with?" Because that was very, very important to me. It was always music that that I found my home in, really. And um, about 3 weeks later, he turned the corner, and there he was. 2 weeks before that, I had another one of these, is it a dream or was it a waking vision experiences, where I saw him before I met him with the curly hair, and just his energy was just right there. And so when he turned the corner, I said, "My God, that's him." And yeah, and he was shining. Yeah, it was there was a musical gathering in Oakland, California. And and yeah, he wasn't invited. Somebody took him. Somebody took him there. And at first, he really intimidated me, because he sat down and he was like, "What do you do?" Like to everybody around the table, "What do you do?" And there was something kind of intense. And I thought, "Oh, okay, well, I write songs." "Oh, very good." And then he brought everybody together with such a love energy, again, as I had never seen in anybody, to play all together inside the house. There was something about the way that his it's very hard to put to words, actually. I've tried many times. His love energy, bringing everyone together to play music, it was amazing. And then shortly thereafter, he showed me a picture of Babaji, and then I felt all the atoms in the room, and many, 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 many other experiences, which I cannot begin to describe in a short period of time. And maybe I should leave it at that. I don't know. Yes, yes. It took me how long? I had a year initiation.
Well,
Essentially.
actually, what I said to her was, because I had just separated from Yashoda, I said, we have to wait at least 2 years before I can take you to the ashram, because it just isn't going to be cool for me to show up, with you. So it took a couple of years before I took you there.
There was a massive purification process that happened, and then I was ready to go to Haidakhandi, essentially, and more happened in order for me to let go some of this dross, that had stuck to me, that I had probably been carrying around for many lives. I don't know. And at Haidakhandi, many things happened. One of them, I remember, I was walking up there's 108 steps at Haidakhandi, very beautiful, that takes you down to the riverbed from above. And I was walking up these steps, and of course, I had already been told, okay, the mantra that we say is Om Namah Shivaya, and you repeat this as many times as you humanly can. So I was already doing the practices, and um, actually Sabina prescribed also. She said, sing Hanuman Chalisa at least once a day. So, okay. So I was doing these things, and as I was walking up the stairs, Om Namah Shivaya, each step, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, I really had an experience that I had no body anymore. And my body was, it was just nothing. It was just absolutely nothing, which was lovely. And it comes back here and there. So Babaji, I really feel that he has been really looking out for me my whole life, and slowly, um, things have happened which not only fulfilled my desire, but also took away a lot of sadness, and bringing more and more joy. Really, every week is more and more and more. So, yeah, that's I guess that's my story. My story.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Beautiful.
Thank you, love.
Imam,
Yes.
one moment. Hirman, are you here? Not yet. Okay. Hirman
Oh,
did
he's
text
not there.
me. He was driving and he'll be here soon. So
Okay.
somebody sees him on. Okay. Bole Baba Kite, let's hear from
Bole Baba Ki Jai.
Imam. Your
Om Namah
story.
Shivaya. So actually, Pujari said my name perfectly, Emam. There are two different words, one in Arabic, one in Persian. In Arabic, it's Imam, which is spelled with an I. In Farsi, it's Emam, which is with an E. So I use Emam,
Imam.
not Imam. So just to correct it. So Babaji, my first spiritual teacher was my uncle, who Baba called Sai Imam. My paternal uncle that I had never met until I was 21, 20. He left Iran when I was born, basically. And I met him in California when my parents came to US. I was going to school to University in Nebraska. We all got in the car with my brother and my sister, my mom, my dad. We drove to San Francisco, and we met him, and he was this weird, strange guy that I didn't know what to think of. He was doing weird poses, yoga poses, and listening to strange music, which was kirtan. So we were we were walking. This is 1976. So we were walking down the street in San Francisco. This is summer. And I asked him, I remember clearly, I said, "What do you do?" He said, "You want to know what I do? Come here, give me a few days." I said, "Okay." He said, "Well, Christmas vacation's coming up. Why don't you come?" I said, "Oh, I don't know." He looked at me, and this I never forget. He said, "You either know now or you're never going to know."
Wow.
I heard this. Nobody ever said anything like this to me. I heard that. I said, "Oh, okay, so I'm coming." He said, "Okay, I'll wait for you." So that Christmas vacation, I took my girlfriend at the time. Both of us got in the car and drove 30 hours and went to San Francisco and spent a long weekend with him. And he basically just put us through a grinder. We got maybe about 4 or 5 hours of sleep the whole time, went through various different exercises, and I don't know what else to call it, but just meditations. And so by the end, when we left, we were completely different people, I could say. Everything had changed for me. That one weekend completely turned me around. I was not the same person. So then, fast forward 2 years or a year and a half, I was in Lincoln, Nebraska. He calls me up in March, I think, and he says, "Hey man, we're going to India for the summer. If you want, you can have the house in Oakland for yourself, rent free, as long as you just come and stay here." I said, "Great, sounds wonderful." I hung up and immediately I thought, wait a minute, I've always wanted to go to India. This is the chance. So I picked up the phone. No, I waited like a week to make sure I knew what I was talking about. I called him back and I said, look, man, if you don't mind, I'm going to go with you. So you better find somebody else to take the place. And I'm not sure how I'm going to pay for it, but I'm going to do it. I said, where are we going? Where are you going? He said, well, I'll tell you later. I said, but any clue? He said, read the book Autobiography of a Yogi. So I said, okay. So just one of the things that happened right after that when I hung up, I don't know, maybe a week or two later, I get a notice from the Iranian oil company that was giving me a, what do you call it? A grant, monthly grant. It was only like $120 a month just to help with expenses, right? I got a letter that says they have raised the grant. What do you call it when they do it backdated? There's a good word, huh?
Retroactive.
Thank you.
Retrospective.
Retroactively, as of 8 months earlier or 10 months earlier to 200. So there it is, $800 check, which covered my ticket, basically. Oh, is that Herman?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah,
Oh, so
Elon.
good to see you, man. So good to
Good
see
to
you.
see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the ticket. So basically, we set out that summer and went to India. We arrived in Delhi, and I'm asking, oh, by the way, the book, Autobiography of a Yogi. I was lazy in reading books. So I started reading it, and I got to the chapter where Sri Yakteshwar appears to Yogananda in a hotel room. I don't know if you've read this, you know. So I thought, okay, for sure, we're going to see Sri Yakteshwar. And I stopped reading, which means I never read the chapter about Babaji. I had no idea. So we go to Delhi, and Imam, my uncle, connects, with people, and they say, Baba's not there, we should wait. So we waited, we took a train to Rishikesh or somewhere. And then eventually we ended up in Haidakhandi. Now, before we get to Haidakhandi, when we were on the train, I was sitting in a compartment, and there was a Swami looking yogi guy, Indian fellow, in the compartment with us. Very nice guy. So he asked me, what are you doing? Where are you going? And I said, we're going to meet our guru I haven't met. And he says to me, when you meet your guru, you be sure to test him. Because then when he tests you, if you're not ready, you will fail. I really didn't understand that clearly, but I said, okay. So we go to Haidakhandi. We arrive in the riverbed. We took a Jeep, basically, through the riverbed, which is a disaster, actually. It's much easier to walk than to go on the Jeep. So anyway, we arrived at the steps in the riverbed. We go up the stairs, and we get up to the top, and Baba's waiting for us there. And my uncle runs to Baba's feet, lies down straight on the ground, in front of him, full pranam, kissing his feet. And I'm standing there going, what the hell is this? Who is this guy? What is this about? So, before we got there, I asked him, I said, Imam, who are we going to see? Is it Sri Yakteshwar? He said, no, we're going to see his guru's guru, Babaji. Didn't you read the book? I said, no, not all of it. He said, well, that's the way it is. So then we go up there, and he goes and does his pranam, and I'm really baffled. I have no idea what this is about. And because I really didn't know the concept of the guru at that time. It was foreign to me, even though I grew up in the East, but it just wasn't something I grew up with. So then, we spend a couple of weeks there, and I start thinking, okay, it all sounds great. Babaji is amazing. I can tell that he knows what I'm going through. He is really his energy is just unbelievable. However, how do I know that he is my guru? Because if he is not really to be my guru, I'm wasting my time here. So I thought to myself, I said, Baba, you are Babaji, you're Mahavatar, and you're this and that. I agree, I accept. However, I don't know if actually you're supposed to be my guru. So can you give me a sign if you're to be my guru? So I know that you're my guru. And so I thought, okay, what's a good sign? I said, give me a banana. The Pujari's heard the story. I said, give me a banana, you know, a full banana. In my mind, I didn't say it to anybody, didn't share it with anybody, just in my mind. That morning, the next morning for prasad, which is what the pujari hands out to people, he had a big tray of banana pieces and he gave me a piece of banana. And I thought, okay, Baba, this is a piece of banana, but you're not giving it to me and it's not a whole banana. So, okay, so that goes by. Evening arti comes. I'm sitting there playing dholak. I'm like third person down from in the front of asan. So I'm not right in the front, but two people in front of me. I'm playing, so I'm sitting cross-legged playing dholak. And Baba comes, walks past me, goes and sits on the asan. And as he sits, he's looking at me directly. And I look at his hands and he's got 3 or 4 bananas in his hand. He takes a couple of the bananas and he's still looking at me. He doesn't take his gaze away. And he does this and he throws it like a baseball or a cricket ball, bat. Whatever it's called. He throws it at me and it lands right on my lap. 2 bananas. And I thought, okay. And then he gives me a huge smile like this. He just looks at me and gives me this huge smile. And I thought, okay, that's pretty clear. I can't argue with that one. And then later that, I don't know, maybe the next day, we go down to the Gufa side. I was walking around with him, me and this other person, and we go sit in the cave. And we're sitting in the cave inside, not in the back, but in the front inside. And as I'm sitting, my back is against the wall and Baba's sitting to my left. And I'm looking at him and he does this, with his face and his eyes like this. I don't know what to think. So I turn around and I look and there's a hole in the wall, like a little hole that looks outside. And inside there's a couple of bananas. And I look at him and he says, eat. So I take the bananas and I eat them and I think to myself, okay, Baba, I got it. It's pretty clear now. I got it. It's happening. This is it. And that was it. And that really cemented my relationship with him. At that point, I had no doubts, completely clear that this was it. This is where I was supposed to be. So like the second time I went to Haidakhandi in 79, it was like going back home. It was amazing. It was just an unbelievable experience. So that first time is when I met Hiromanji, and he was just great to have over there. He made us lemongrass tea, I remember. He would go in the back where there is now all this Broadway and whatnot. It was just a big field. And pick lemongrass and bring it and boil it with water and bring it to us and give it to us. We loved it. He was such a great guy to have around at that time. So anyway, that was the beginning. And then it just went on from there. There is one thing I want to say to everybody who has not met Babaji in particular. Everybody has their own experience with Babaji. Don't take anybody's experience and try to emulate it or try to create it like that. It's never going to be the same for you. You're going to have your own clear, direct relationship with Babaji and your own experience with Babaji. Like the one thing I say is, please don't pay too much attention to what they call Babaji's teachings in words. That's not what it's about. It's about what's in your heart and what you get from him in your heart. That's all that counts. well, the process for me with Babaji that I saw, this is what I saw, is that initially the process was about getting rid of the baggage for everyone. Whoever came, everybody came with their own baggage. It doesn't matter who they were, they had their own baggage. It's all the old stuff from parents and grandparents and great grandparents and lineages and culture and programmings from everything. It's just everybody came with their own package. And the first thing he had to do was work people through their baggages. Once that was done, then he could reach them clearly inside, and the rest of the communication happened internally for everybody. Everybody, at least everybody that I spoke to. So most of the teaching was by osmosis and by direct connection, whether physically or not physically, it doesn't matter. He's always there. Once you stop the chatter, what you hear is your inner voice, which is connected with Baba. But until you can stop the chatter, the rest is useless because you can't tell which one you're listening to. So that was the first step, was to get rid of the baggage, which means stopping the chatterbox. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can turn on your mic and tell me. So that's it. And it was very clear with everybody. I mean, he gave us tools. One, obviously, was Om Namah Shivaya and Karma Yoga. If you don't know what you're supposed to do, you follow the rules of the ashram, you do your Karma Yoga, and you do your Om Namah Shivaya. If you know what you're supposed to do, you do what you're supposed to do. Even if they say, everybody go do this, it doesn't matter. When you know clearly what your path is, you follow it. Doesn't matter who says what. So for instance, this happened to me all the time. One time in '79, they announced every foreigner should shave their head. And I had huge, big, curly hair. And I still have it, by the way, it's all back here. I didn't cut it. So so I went up to Baba and said, Baba, should I shave my head? He said, no, not now. I said, okay. So for the next 2-3 weeks, I was the sort of, whatever you call it, the trigger, thank you, yes. The trigger for everybody else who had to shave their head. And there I was sitting there with long hair, smiling and playing my drums, and everybody's going crazy. I remember this young German couple, beautiful. Both of them were so beautiful, and they both had long, straight, blonde hair, the boy and the girl, both. And they were really young. I mean, not, like maybe 18, 19, 20, something like that maximum. I remember them standing in front of Baba, weeping because they had to cut their hair, shave their head. And they did anyway. And the next day when I saw them, they were adults. They had completely changed. It was a miraculous change to me. What I could experience with them, they were not the same people. Just put it that way. Very simple. Similar thing happened with Har Govind Baba. I mean, not with the head shaving, but we were in 1979, we went to Chilinola for the temple opening ceremony. Navratri was the Navratri time. And halfway through, one night, this guy from Switzerland shows up who looks like, it was Har Govind wearing Western clothes, speaking like any other Swiss with an accent, and just being Dr. Martin, basically. And I remember meeting him before he went to see Baba. And I'm thinking to myself, what's he going to get out of this? He's going to go to Baba. There are hundreds of people. He's going to stand in line, go for a couple of, few seconds with Babaji and leave him. Well, what's he going to get out of this? So I'm talking to him, just feeling out who he is, where he's coming from, what's happening. Then he goes. He comes back. I see him again in about 20 minutes, maybe or so, after he's had his darshan. And I'm looking at his eyes. He's not the same guy anymore. He just had a darshan for 30 seconds. And I'm looking at it, I'm doing this. You the same? I said, yeah, man. But everything changed. He completely transformed with one darshan. I mean, it was unbelievable. I never experienced this before with anybody like that. And he just completely was transformed. And after that, that was it. That was the end of Dr. Martin. And he started living in the ashram and staying for long, long time, basically. So Baba works in amazing, unexpected ways that we never thought was possible. Okay, that's good for now.
Thank you.
Any
Beautiful.
questions?
Very
Yes.
lovely. Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. It's a beautiful story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
If anybody has
anybody have any?
question, or Pujari or Hiraman, you have any stories to add since you were all there at the same time?
It's something I can happily bring up. It's so beautiful how you expressed the relation with Baba, how in one way it's so a personal thing and it happens in your heart. And at the same time, when we were with Baba together, we didn't relate so much to each other, but the family feeling and the friendship or the love which was in the air between each other as brothers and sisters, this is such an amazing experience. I've never ever in the world have I experienced that except at Babaji's feet with us as devotees together, but without much communication. We had a very direct line with Babaji, but that love that flowed through that expanded everything, that we were not the same person anymore. It was just, we were swimming in a field of love and brotherhood. Whoever you looked in the eyes, woman or man, was our relation forever. That
Yep.
you spoke about it, very beautiful. And at the same time, Baba worked on our baggage. My baggage was different than your baggage, or Hiraman's
Exactly.
baggage. You expressed that very beautiful. I want to tip on that.
Yeah.
That is, thank you for bringing that
Sure.
up, because
And also
that-
now, when you go to a place where there's Babaji devotees, all we gotta do is say Bole Baba Ki Jai, Om Namah Shivaya, and we're in. That's it. The relationship is established. The brotherhood, sisterhood is established. Huh?
Om Namah Shivaya.
Well, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Exactly. And it goes beyond everything, beyond all politics and whatever, everything. It's just hooks us up at a level that is beyond all the words. That's how I feel. Oh, I'll tell you an interesting little thing. When I was in Haidakhandi, I used to go for Baba's bath. Just follow him. I would go wait for him when he would come in the afternoon out of his kutir, and just follow him down to the river and go with his bath. And sometimes he would say, you go, and most of the time he didn't mind, I was there. And then people started asking, oh, how did you get permission to go? What do you have to do? I said, "No, look, man, I come here to be with Babaji. I go and hang out with him. If he doesn't want me around, he's not shy. He'll tell me to go away. And he does when he doesn't want me around. So I don't know about permission. This is what I do. So that's how I felt. It's like we were in Delhi one time in 1982, 81, I don't remember. I think maybe 82. And there was a, Havan and Satsang and Baba sitting on the asan, and they announced everybody should go to Allahabad for Kumbh Mela, Mahakumbh Mela. So they say we have a tent there, Babaji devotees there, they will take care of you, everything's there. So I walk up to Babaji, this is January, and I said, Baba, are you going to Kumbh Mela? He said, no. I said, you're going to Haidakhandi? He said, yes. I said, can I go with you? He said, yes. So I forgot, I went with him to Haidakhandi and nobody else was there. Maybe a handful of people. Everybody went to Allahabad.
Kumbh
So we in the Kumbh Mela, yeah. I didn't go to India to go to Kumbh Mela. I went to India to be with Babaji. So I ended up having some amazing time with him in Haidakhandi, one-to-one, every day, because hardly anybody was there. So it's good to remember why you go where you go and what is the intention. So you can pay your attention to what is your intention. That's very important. It's what I've learned over the years, is that don't waste your time doing things that is not part of your intention. it just takes away from your energy. So that's what this is what he taught me, is just because they say everybody should do this doesn't necessarily apply to me. That's how I felt. So yes, please, anybody. Oh no, Shiva.
I have something to share.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I've never met Babaji physically, but in dreams and such. But then also because he's my husband, we've been together 8 years now. Many amazing things have happened that really revealed to me that Babaji is, of course, in everyone. And also, Babaji comes through Imam. I asked a question. This happened once. I asked a question to Babaji. I can't remember what it was now. Well, that's another story. Yes, okay, that's the first thing that happened, actually. I wanted a different name. I've always wanted a different name than my birth name. So I mentally said, okay, Babaji, if you were to give me a new name, what would my name be? And it was either that day or the next day. I mean, very soon after, Imam, we were riding on the scooter, and he turns and he says, do you want to know what your new name is? And I said, what? I didn't tell him that I was thinking this, so that's the other thing, is being with someone who can read all of your thoughts and everything. I mean, it's been such an amazing experience, really amazing.
I
Well,
don't think it's
I feel
reading
like
your
you-
thoughts.
You feel it.
It's being in tune.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like they say Babaji reads everybody's thoughts, or I don't think so. He doesn't want to waste his time reading, but he is in tune to the different level that he can tell what everybody's going through without having to necessarily. I hope he doesn't. I mean, it doesn't make sense that he would waste the time reading the crappy thoughts that we have
No.
sometimes. So it's just about being in tune
It's a
and
vibration.
yeah,
right?
knowing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely, when you're in tune, you know what needs to be said and done. That's basically what it
Yeah.
comes to.
And
Yeah.
and further on as I go, it's much easier for me to read the energies and hear what's going on out there. And then the other experience I had was another time that I asked a question, and just within 30 seconds, he just turned to me and he blurted out the answer as if, I mean, it was amazing. So it's been a real blessing to learn from you
Thank you.
so many things.
Thank you.
Really. Thank you.
Same here. I learned from you. Yeah, the other thing that Baba did, I think, to almost everybody is what we call the mirror effect. You can shake your head. He would reflect what we took to him. And if you were not tuned in, some people would see it as, oh, this is Babaji. But if you knew what it's about and you were tuned in, you would realize that that's what he's doing. He's basically reflecting what you're going through, and he's saying it to you or showing it to you, whatever.
You have a story about that.
Oh, there are many stories about that.
The one time you went and
Oh. The funny story is I used to go to him and ask him questions, right? When I had a question. And I realized after some time that whenever I was clear about what I wanted, what I was asking, what the intention was, he would listen to me. I would go very close to his ear because there's kirtan going on. Very close to his ear. This is at kirtan time, at nighttime, and we say something in his ear in English, very clear, simple. He would answer me with one or two words very clearly, and I would go away, and no need for translator, no problem. Everything was clear. I get what he was saying. He got what I was saying, and I knew he got what I was saying. Then there was times when I was confused, just mixed up with my thoughts and ideas and confused and didn't know what I was doing. I would walk up to him, and as soon as I would get close to him, he would turn his head and call somebody to translate. So it got to the point where I knew as soon as he would call somebody to translate, I said, okay, it's okay, Baba. I would go back and sit down and wait until I got the clarity. Because he didn't really want to hear the confusion that I was taking to him. That was my mind to deal with, not his. So once I got clear, I would go to him and I would present the idea or say whatever. And then he either would accept or not. Like in Chilenola, after that whole celebration was over, 1979, I had some extra time to spend in India. So I went to Baba and said, look, Babaji, I have some time, a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. Where should I go? He said, as you wish, as you like. So I went and planned the whole trip to go there, to this, here, there. So I went back to him the next day. Babaji, this is what I planned. I'm going to do this. He said, no. There was a group of devotees who wanted to go to Badrinath. Badrinath is a pilgrimage center up in the mountains, in the Himalayas, up like when you get to Badrinath, it's above 10,000, 12,000 feet. And from there, you're surrounded by mountains that are no lower than 20,000 feet, just to give you an idea. So he said, these people want to go to Badrinath, their first time in India, you should go and take them and make sure they're okay. I said, great. I have had no attachment to my plan. I had already, he just let me go and exercise my, ability to decide on what to do. And then he allowed me to exercise my ability to let go, which was easy. I said, great, sounds wonderful. And we went. I mean, the bus ride was amazing because at that time, 1979, the buses going on the, around the mountains, you could look down and it would drop of 5,000 feet, maybe. It was really unbelievable. It was an experience I never forget. It was a great experience. So things like that, it happened many times where I would make up my mind, go to him, then said, no, do this. So that's how it happened. Anybody else? Anything?
I would like to ask you both something. You have also to mention that you both have an incredible quality with music and filming, and you have some things on the websites. I would like to bring that out that people can find you. And
yes.
Then the question is, how was it possible that you made all these beautiful photos around Babaji?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Very
is a
good
double
question.
One is
double question.
Two. Yeah.
Second one first. Part of my karma yoga in Haidakhandi, I had at least 3 different types of karma yoga. One was to take photos. Very simple. I had a telephoto lens. I would sit in the distance and just click photos. So that's why when you go to a website, which I will tell you, all the photos are available for free. Anybody can download and use, and no mention of who took it and all that, because it was my karma yoga and I make it available to everybody. The other part of my karma yoga was to record music in Haidakhandi, because I had the capability and the equipment. So I recorded over the years, and all of that is available on the same website. Somebody just turned on the speaker. And then the last one was to actually work on my own music, which is playing my tabla and practicing. I did most of my studies of tabla in the US, because my teacher, Zakir Hussain, is living in the US. And I did most of my practice in Haidakhandi, because that's where I had the most time to practice, which was interesting because it put me in confrontation with people who thought I should be out there doing the karma yoga, whatever they thought it was that I was supposed to do. And it took me being very clear and staying in my purpose to continue to practice and not really get caught in their stuff and let them do what they had to do and get beyond it. So that's what I did. I took photos whenever he didn't mind, and whenever there was enough, he would just point to me and would go away. And I recorded whenever possible, and I practiced tabla. The first time I was there, I wasn't so clear about my tabla practice. I wasn't quite dedicated yet. So I did all the work. We carried stones, we did everything, all the physical work that everybody did. By the time I went back second time, I had already studied with the Ustad al-Araka. My practice of music had become a lot more serious. And so I started focusing mainly on the music and practicing and playing tabla. And so over the years, I was able to just keep practicing. And as far as the first question, the easiest way to reach us, there's one website, very simple. It's emam.us. You don't even need www. emam.us. And there's a link to Imam and Friends. There's a link to Mahalakshmi and Imam, which takes you also to a page that has her picture. You can click on it. It gives you her bio. There's a link to Eternal Music, which is my music label. There's a link to Haidakhandi.com. It's Hairakhan. There's a link there. And that takes you to the page that I was talking about that has music, videos, photos, everything free. Kirtan, everything free that we put together. Yeah, thank you, Hiraman, I think just put that up. So feel free to go there and explore. Our music is all available on the website called Bandcamp. She has her own Bandcamp, I have my own, and you can listen for as many times as you want for free. If you want to have MP3s and you can't afford to pay for it, write to me. I'll send you links, no problem. We've never really considered money to be as important as most everybody. I mean, as far as music, we freely give our music to people who cannot afford to pay. But if you can afford to pay, please, if you like something, feel free to buy it. And I always say that if you can afford to pay, but you don't want to pay and you want us to give it to you for free, sorry, that's not the way it works. But music is available. All the music you can listen to. If you don't want to download it, you can just listen to it and stream it. And the kirtan, there's kirtan from Haidakhandi from quite a few years, actually. Even Hargovind Baba's recording from the Duni in 1982, right before Baba passed away. So that was an amazing experience, by the way. Baba passing away. So, yeah. Anything
Were you
else?
there when Babaji was passing away?
Well, I was there 3 days before he passed away. And somebody's raising their, yeah. Through my own stupidity, and also later I realized because I wasn't really supposed to be there, I ended up having to leave the ashram. He basically threw me out of the ashram because I was being stupid, basically. Very simply put, I was very stupid. And he didn't like stupid people around if they were, if he knew that they were smarter than that and they were acting stupid. No, I mean, if somebody is a little slow and they just don't get it, that's different. But he knew that I was smarter than that and I shouldn't have done what I did. So anyway, he sent me out. We went to Delhi. We were in Delhi for 2 nights and 3 nights maybe. Yeah, 2 nights. And then late night, one night we were coming back from a studio. I was working on the recordings, the same recordings I was just telling you from Duni. We were working on that all day in the studio with the studio guy. We came back with taxi to YMCA in Delhi. And as I arrived, my Indian family, I call them, Mrs. Valia, Ajay, his son, were at the YMCA waiting for me outside. This was very unusual. So I came out of the taxi. I said, what's happening? What are you doing here? They said, we just heard that Babaji passed away. I was shocked. I thought, okay, that's weird. I don't know if maybe this is just a lila Baba's playing so to bring everybody together. So we went right then and hired a taxi for 6 o'clock in the morning. I paid them half the money. And 6 o'clock, the taxi came, we got in and we took off. And I was so blown away that when we got to Aldwani, I paid them again full fare. And then we took a truck or something. We went to Huracan, and all this time that we're going there, I was thinking, it must be a lila. It's not possible, because everybody was coming. You know, when the word got out, everybody started to come from everywhere. It just, there was no stopping it. So we got to Huracan, and I went up and I saw his body on ice, sitting in the kutir, and that was it. I couldn't take it, actually. I went down, sat by the Duni, Kali Duni we had there. And when they actually put the body in the ground, I went up, short time, came back. I couldn't, it was too much energy for me. I couldn't handle it. It was just so strong. It was unbelievable, this experience. I never had anything like this. And funny enough, after that, one night I was sleeping outside in front of the cave on the platform, actually in front of the temples upstairs above the cave, on the platform in my sleeping bag, and it was cloudy. And as I was lying down halfway between sleeping and being awake, I feel this energy and this sort of cloud kind of thing moving towards me and entering me. And then I hear a voice saying, now where am I? And at that point, I realized that that's it. There's no separation between the guru and the disciple. That's it. We're all one with him. He's already left what we called being Babaji, physical form, and he's now one with us. Even though he was before too, but we didn't recognize it because he was always there and we could look at him and he was separate. But now he says, now where am I? So that was very powerful experience. And I stayed for some time after that, before we left. And the interesting story is, as we were leaving, we were walking down the valley and I see Nirmal. You know, you all know Nirmal Sharma. He is coming on a horse, and behind him is his wife to be. At the time they weren't married, on another horse. And I said, Nirmal, hey, what's happening? He said, I received a letter from Babaji, arrived at my address at my house on February 14th, which is when Baba passed away, saying, come to Huracan, come to India, we have a wife for you. We have a, because his mom and him had gone to Babaji asking him to find him a wife. So the letter said, come to Huracan, we have somebody for you to marry. So he went to Haldwani, got the lady, they got on horses, went to Dam side, got on horses, and went to Huracan and got married. Amazing thing is it arrived on 14th of February. So anyway, he said, I wasn't going to argue with that. So, okay. Yes, dear. Have anybody?
Imam, when,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Imam,
Yes, thank you. Better.
my foreign capacity is one of my less profound abilities. So
No problem. I take whatever you call me. You can call me anything you want. I would be happy as long as you calling me. I love you and I don't mind at all. So
the 3 days before Baba left, when you were being stupid, but did you also have how did you feel in your heart? Did you have any inkling?
yes. Okay, I forgot.
Last time
Yes.
I would be with Baba in this physical.
Yeah. I have to. I didn't tell you the whole story. Okay, I'll go backtrack. The story was that me and Mindia were there at the time together, and Mindia wanted to go to Delhi. We had actually made plans to go to Delhi to meet Zakirji and Hariji and the rest of the musicians that we knew. These are all top Indian musicians. And so I went to Baba one day and I said, Baba, we're going to go to Delhi to meet musicians. And he said, no, one of you go. So I went back to India. I said, look, he says one of us should go. Either you go or I go. And she said, no, I don't want to go alone. and I don't want to stay here and have you go. So we should go together. Go ask him again. Tell him that we need to go ask him. So I did this a couple of times, back and forth, and finally Baba gave up. He just started screaming at me. You know, you go, don't come back. You just go. As soon as he said that, something inside me told me, you'll never see him again once you leave. I knew that I wouldn't see him again, except my thought was, okay, I won't be able to come back. He won't allow me to come back. He's throwing me out. I won't be able to come back. I won't see him again. So I just didn't leave. I just hung out and stayed in the distance and kept hanging out and hanging out. And finally, he had me escorted out of the ashram by a couple of the Italian brothers, which to this day still remind me that, hey. So I said, okay. So I took my luggage and I walked down to the tree and I put the luggage down and I sat down. And I, you know, in those days, I used to spend a lot of time going to the tree, and I even slept by the tree many times. So I thought to myself, okay, Baba, you know, I'm fine here. I'm going to stay here because I feel like I'm not going to see you again. I'm not going to leave unless you give me a sign. So I'm sitting there. All of a sudden, I don't know any of the old timers know the guy called Raghuvir, who was in the dam site. He had a home in the dam site, and he used to carry people's luggage. He runs towards me from the ashram, and he says, Imam, and, you know, in his broken English, Baba told me to come and carry your luggage. He said you're going to Delhi. I thought, okay, Baba, you're sending someone to help me. You want me to go, I will go. I surrender. So he carried my luggage. We went to dam site, took a taxi, bus or whatever, and ended up in Delhi. And then 2 days later, heard this, and by the third day, we were back. So yes, I knew in my heart that I wasn't going to see him again. That was very strong. No doubt, to answer your question.
So Mindia didn't accompany you?
Yes, we went together. My relationship with Mindia was really amazing. We were fighting like cats and dogs, and sometimes we were totally in love. We were together for like 3 months, off for 3 months, together 6 months, off for 6 months. It was really a very hard, difficult relationship, even though when it was lovely, it was beautiful. And the way it happened is when in 1982, I was actually, okay, you want the whole story? I'll tell you the whole story.
You have to, yeah, okay.
Okay. In 1982, I was in Portland, Oregon in the beginning of summer, and I had just separated from somebody who I wanted to get married to, but she didn't want to. So I was talking to a good friend of mine. I said, next time I meet someone that I'm involved with, I want her to be beautiful, into Babaji, vegetarian, into Indian music, all this specific stuff. I just left out one very important thing, which I'll tell you later. So, so I got to Bay Area, and I was walking in the park one day, and I hear this angelic music, which was gamelan music. I find it, and it's this beautiful blonde sitting with her, another beautiful, angelic, beautiful blonde playing kangsas, which is Balinese instruments. And so that was when I first met her, and then we spent a little more time together, and then she asked me, you know, what are you into? What are you doing when you go to India? I said, yeah, I go to see my guru. Who is it? Oh, you wouldn't know. She said, try me. So I said, Babaji, and she just couldn't believe it. She said, I've been tuned into Babaji for years. I want to go with you next time. So she came with me. We went together, end of 82, to Haidakhandi, and she came with me, and by then we were having a relationship anyway. So we arrived in Haidakhandi, and after a few days, out of my whatever, I walked up to Babaji one night and I said, Baba, should we get married? Me and Mindia. He looks at me and says, yes, tomorrow? I said, I don't know, let me go ask her. So I went to her and I asked her, I said, look, this is what I said to Baba and this is what he said. She said, okay, why not? So we got married. And after that, it began the whole, I don't know, 6 year or however many years of back and forth and lots of fights. And we were both working out our stuff. I mean, there was no end to it. We both had so much baggage to work out. So finally, it was over, then it was over. But yes, that's, where was I coming from?
It was also in that year
Oh,
that was 82
oh yeah.
that,
That you were,
that you asked for, wasn't it?
what?
That was part of the. This was,
Oh, the one thing that I left out in all the things that I asked for, the partner would be, I left out the fact that we would get along. And so I created a relationship that we didn't get along, basically. And so anyway, my suggestion to people is if you're going to be specific about things, don't leave anything out. Be very specific because you're going to get it. So anyway, interesting enough, that is the year that she was born.
there's that.
There's that. Yeah. So anyway, and now,
You created me.
Yeah.
Somehow.
so we ended up after so many years later meeting, and it's perfect. We get along fabulously. We're both in love being in India, living in India. We're both vegetarian. We both love Babaji. We both, all of it, everything.
Yeah.
We even have the same allergies. We did allergy tests in India.
Food
and-
allergies.
Food allergies. So yeah. And it came out pretty much almost exactly the same, which is unbelievable. I mean, considering the age difference. So anyway, any
I
more?
also didn't specify an age. It's useful though. He has a lot of experience.
Thank you. Any more questions? Anybody have?
You just had to ask for the whole banana.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yes. What else?
When I went to see Babaji, it was in 1982, it was summertime. And I brought him a gift of some binoculars because I
yeah.
would see how he would, he just loved, seemed to love looking at the birds and down the river. I thought, well, this would be a little pair of very good binoculars. And I was down in his patio there with him. It was just me. And, I pranamed to him and I handed these binoculars. I said, these are for you, Baba. And he looked at me and he said, why do people keep bringing me things? Don't they know now I want to give everything away? And in that moment, I knew that he was going to leave us. And indeed, it was the last trip that I saw him. So it was, his face just looked like he had just returned from Guru Purnima, which is huge. It just looked like, so much. I guess I was very aware of how, at least for me, how I sucked from him. I just wanted him to, to fill my everything. And yeah, so anyway, that was a moment that I realized that.
Wow.
And that wasn't the purpose of him being here. I've always felt that, the minute I heard that he left his body, I just, felt that, we had all, just like you said, we didn't get it. And that's what I tell new devotees. They get it. They get that Baba's in their heart and in their soul and in their moment to moment. Me, I was like, looking out there for my savior and to make me whole. And the fact that we are whole in his presence. And I mean, we're whole always. We just have to, like you said, stop the chatter. And so I always got that we were just too much, because he said in one of his speeches, don't put too much oil on my feet. don't you know I'm here just for, a short time to do this service? Like all of us, we're come to this world to serve, and then, but most of us forget. And we get into this attachment of me and mine, and so we forget. It's really all we're here for, is to be in tune with this, with who we are as part of this
Yep.
bigger picture. So
Amen. When you said about gifts to Babaji, one of the most interesting things with Baba was how he treated the gifts.
put your
People would
microphone
come-
up a little higher.
Oh, yeah, okay. One of the most interesting things was how he treated the gifts and what he did with the gifts. People would come with gifts that they had a lot of energy in, like it was important to them. An expensive watch, an expensive shawl, or expensive this or expensive that. So he would take it, smile, and accept it, and maybe put it on, or have it around. 2 days later, you see some guy walking around with the gift on them, whatever it was, whether it was the watch or the shirt or the whatever. And it was a chance for everybody to let go, because this is the one thing, especially in the West, people don't give gifts. They give you something, they want you to keep it and cherish it for the rest of your life. You're not allowed to give it to anybody else. Whereas a gift is freely given, and you let go. Then the person is free to do as they want with it. At least he gave it to somebody who could use it. And that's what he did with everything he got. There was no exception. Whatever you gave him would end up somebody's chest or somebody's, arm or wrist or whatever. He gave everything away, basically.
It was
Yes.
also a perfect scenario for at least me, and I imagine I've heard stories from other people, for our greed to come up. So I'd see Baba being given this beautiful shawl, and all I could think of is, oh, maybe he'll give it to me. And so
Yes.
endless
Yeah,
game of
yeah.
showing at least showing my. Anyways, all I wanted was Baba to show me he loved me, and so
Yeah.
all I wanted. And that's,
Yeah.
without
A lot
knowing
of times.
that Baba loves us. I mean, the divine, it's all love, but I
Yeah.
also, like you, Mahalakshmi, even though I came from a pretty loving, kind family that I'm still very close to and grateful for, I didn't get the message that, I was loved without doing anything. And so that's haunted me so much of my life, and particularly around Babaji. Will he give me that piece of candy? I mean, it didn't matter if it was like a piece of candy. I wanted it to show me that he loved me. I couldn't just get. Sometimes I did, obviously, but not a lot of times. I needed that proof, which was not.
Thank you. Yes.
And at the same time, Ramaloti, look how much that love has just stayed with you. Like sometimes, we're all different, and sometimes we need to be made to want to really find out what we really want. So you obviously know what you really want. And sometimes if it takes a piece of candy or a whole banana or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
Baba's in the time is immaterial to Baba. And
Yep.
so, and it's about love.
Yeah.
And we have all got that love. What else could we ask for?
I wanted mangoes. I remember one year I was there in the summer. I don't know, it was first time, second time. I really loved mangoes. I had one, because I didn't grow up with mangoes. And I remember thinking to myself, I'd like to have some mangoes. He gave me 10 mangoes in one day and made me eat them. So Yeah, he was there definitely, and he still is. Yep.
Yeah, I realize now as I told my story that, you know, I was saying, oh, and I wanted this and this desire was fulfilled. And I think that a lot of that has transpired. And now really I would, similar to, I had a dream, Babaji was there. And instead of like asking him for things like I had been doing my whole life, really, without even knowing who he was, even before then, I was still asking. I said, "How are you?" And it was more like, yeah, that's what it's about, you know. That's really what I want to do with the music, is I want to give people something that maybe even they're asking for. I don't know. Um, but yeah, it's really all about giving. That's what you've shown me too, definitely. And all of you that I've met at Heracon, and my goodness, what an experience it is to know all of you in your service, and it's just such a gift, really. Thank you.
I remember how Babaji sometimes said, I want to give, but most people, they want poison. They don't want the nectar. Yeah, no, it's that way. We
Yes.
have to learn to eat poison, and then we say, oh, please, that's sorry, Baba, that's not what I really wanted.
Yes.
And until we understand what you spoke so beautiful, it's the heart and
Yes.
the love. If that's all we want, and stop there, then we live a beautiful life. If we want something else, we get poison, big or small.
Yep.
And that's the thing.
Very
I would
much.
also love to, you spoke beautiful about Baba Samadhi time. I would
Yeah.
like to share a little story that comes from Buri. You all know Buri quite well. She is one of the early Babaji
Yes.
devotees from Holland.
Yeah.
And that was like 2 days before Babaji Samadhi. I tell this because I see probably will not come on a satsang. And I want to share this story that she told me a few times, and she even wrote it a little bit down. So I'll try to share this. When 2 days before Baba Samadhi, she was down there at Babaji's kutir, and Baba was sitting outside. And already for several days, for 3-4 days, he was playing sick. That sometimes he wouldn't go for darshan anymore. He wouldn't go to the temple, and he was. It looked like he was sick. He was playing sick. And doctors would be coming, and medicine would be taken, and then he would send the doctors away, and then it was all a lila and a drama. But then this last 2 days, Babaji was sitting outside of his kutir, and he was playing sick. And then he asked, where are my shoes? I want to go to the temple the evening for darshan. I want to go out and to the devotees. And Buri said, no, Babaji, I'm not going to bring your shoes, your chapels. You will stay here. You're much too sick. You're not allowed to go out. That's how she could be with Baba. Like, you're too sick. You're not going out. And then Baba called Gora Devi. Gora, Buri, not give my shoes. You bring me my chapels. So Gora, a little bit beyond, she went to bring Baba's chapels, and he walked up and in very dramatic way, like carrying his heavy body up the stairs, walking the way into the temple, sit down, looking very difficult and sick and terrible. He sat there for half an hour and then stumbled back from his asana, came back to his front of the kutir, where he had to go through the gate. The moment he was at the gate, he cheered up and walked happily down, sat down near his kutir, and said to Gora and Bora, "Bariya lila hai." Like, can you imagine? He showed them.
God.
He showed them that it was all a play for him, and it was already kind of in the air or planned that he would go. But he showed them. She wrote it very nicely, but she really got it. For Baba, it was just a play. He had to play sick, and there was something he could flip. We know that. He could flip in a second that it for him, this human body, what he is supposed to also be, he could do anything he liked with it. And he was completely in it and completely free from it. And that was the attraction and the beauty that we fell so incredibly in love with it was that nobody is so in it, also in life, and also so completely free from it. Magical, beautiful. But that I want to share that even around this Samadhi time, Babaji was completely free. He was not attached to nothing, of course. He was not this body. He was just this bubble of consciousness and love.
You may want to translate that little statement because some people don't know what it means. The Bariya lila hai?
Oh, Bariya lila hai, that means very good play. A very beautiful play. Yeah, he's just playing an act. Many times he said, I'm only acting. You know, that's why I said many times I see he's like Shakespeare, and he's also the main player, but he writes the script and he plays the main part. That's how he moved through this 14 years of the divine yogi. Out of light comes and he becomes us, walking through the riverbed with a transistor radio and sunglasses and calling you, hey, you, mister, come. It is unimaginable how that looked at this beautiful yogi 10 years earlier, how he became us, how he completely became whatever was in front of him, Westerners, Indians, he became us and then had to disappear.
Yeah, I have a theory about his change and transformation. When he first showed up, he was gathering his Indian devotees, right? And he looked the part of an Indian guru. And people in India, they are very clear about their relationship with the guru. Guru's not a friend, guru's not a brother, guru's not a father, guru is the guru. There's definitely a separation of guru and disciple. It's not quite the same with us. We like somebody that we can relate to. Whereas the original Babaji form when he first showed up was not an easy form to relate to, especially for a Westerner. For Indians, yes, because he was the guru and they went to the guru, they accepted him as a guru, and that was it. But when he wanted to attract his Western disciples, he flipped, he changed. And he became this friendly, playful looking guy, and he played around and he attracted all these Western devotees who came and related to him as sort of a friend in a way, many people, and saw him as somebody that they could relate to, and so on and so forth. So he transformed himself to attract a different group of disciples, basically, is what I felt. And most people, Westerners, they came after 1977. 77, 78, I was probably in the second wave of people who went there. And by then he had already changed. You know, it took the first 3-4 years and then he started changing. And by 77, he had completely changed. So, you know, we could all relate to him, basically.
But I believe it went automatically. He is a pure mirror. So he just could, there's no separation. He is us. He became us. It's hard to say because he just mirrored whatever was in front of him. It doesn't matter if it's a tiger or an Imam. He was just you.
Yeah.
Indian or Westerner, of course, also a lot of West Indian devotees from Bombay and Delhi, they had another makeup and he mirrored that perfectly. And the basis is love. Love, 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 love.
Who was it?
Can I share something?
Yes, please. Who is this?
Yeah.
Rakesh.
Yeah, this is Rakesh. Yeah.
Hi, Rakesh.
So Pujari mentioned flipping poison and nectar. So I just wanted to share a thought. You know, if you flip Shiv, the opposite of Shiv is actually Vish. Vish is poison.
Oh, in Hindi.
Yeah, in Hindi, Vish is poison, and actually it is the flipping of Shiv. The opposite side of Shiv is, you know, Vish.
Like Ram and Mar, right?
Yeah, it's Ram and Mara.
Yeah.
So Shiv is like, I don't know, maybe. Yeah. And then one more just a thought. Like you said, you know, a guru is a different, there is a distance between a guru and a disciple in Indian tradition, but it's like a friendly tradition in Western world. You are kind of right, but you know, like Krishna. Krishna was, of course, an avatar of Vishnu, but he was also a friend of Arjun.
Yeah.
So in that sense, the guru being a friend is also not alien to India as such.
Right.
But you are partly right. Most of the
Well,
time,
in
the
the
guru is like,
yeah,
who disciplines you,
that's
you.
right.
But at times, a guru is shown as a friend also.
Yeah, in the
Just
Shiva
some random
tradition,
thoughts.
Shiva is more austere. In the tradition of Shiva, Shiva is more austere than Krishna. Krishna was the playful. Like from the childhood, he was playing around, stealing the makan and all that and butter. But Shiva is always depicted as this austere character who sits on the mountaintop and meditates or whatever. So when he first showed up, he was real Shiva, basically. If you look at Baba's pictures in the beginning, he was really austere looking and not somebody you walk up to and have a chit chat with, I mean, once Babaji became us and changed his form, people were asking him all kinds of, I'm sorry to say, stupid questions and, things that just didn't mean anything, basically. But, he didn't mind. He was there for everybody. It didn't matter. He was there from beginning to the end for everybody. And he showed everybody that he was there for them. As long as they were sincere, that's all that counted. Really being sincere and letting go of the personal stuff. Yeah. Thank you, Rakesh ji.
Thank you.
Sure. What else?
Are there other questions or comments?
Oh yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, one thing, the book
Yes.
Autobiography of a Yogi, I keep hearing it, I have started joining this group since Guru Purnima, not very long back. What is the easiest way to get this book, and who is the author of this book, and is it about Babaji?
No, okay, let me tell you something about this. First of all, it was written by Paramahansa Yogananda, who was a disciple of Sri Yakteshwar, who was a disciple of Lahiri Mahashaya, who was a disciple of Babaji. And they all say that they are disciples of Babaji. Paramahansa Yogananda. Now, the thing you have to remember, if I may say so, is that Babaji has been known to say that most of this book is not accurate. Even though many, many, many people, you can say hundreds of people, came to Babaji through reading this book. I mean, not me, because I had no idea. I didn't read the whole thing. But many people came to him through this book. So it did its job. It was useful. It is useful. And if you read it as a book to enjoy, as a entertaining book, it's probably pretty entertaining. And some of it is probably true, and some of it is probably not. So you make up your own mind.
Didn't Babaji say 30% was true? 30.
Have any of you heard anything about this, Pujariji or Herman or?
Babaji told me probably the thing that surprised me the most of anything he ever told me, just as pure shock, because I loved that book, was that it was mostly exaggerated.
Thank you.
Didn't give a percentage or anything. He just said,
Thank you. It's good to hear from somebody who actually heard it from him, because I didn't. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
But at the same time,
yeah, it had a purpose.
At the same time, I exaggerate my stories.
Yeah.
They're more interesting. So, I mean, I like the word exaggerated. I think this, and who knows? We hear stories, we have our own experiences, but
the big exaggeration
through Amazon or so many different places. There's probably millions of copies around, and like you said, so many of us were. I mean, I remember just reading the part about Babaji. That was what really captured my soul.
Yeah.
Accurate or not, exaggerated or not, thinking about being in the Himalayas and jumping off cliffs is like, actually what I felt was I could never do this because I'm not, obviously not in that ilk, but I could still, but then it says, pray to me, and I could still do that. So it's a valuable book. Don't take
Yes.
it literally.
Yes.
And you can get it from Amazon, yeah, or all kinds of.
Or Rakesh, you could go down on the street corner at any place that sells books and anywhere in India and you can get it.
Yeah.
Book stalls in India probably all have it. It's got a
Anybody
picture
who has
of-
English books will have this. Yeah.
Yeah.
You were saying
Thank you.
something, Herman, about exaggeration. You were beginning to say something.
Well, the part that Babaji told me that was totally exaggerated was him, the Mataji part of having a sister.
Ah.
So,
Yes,
and-
yes.
but,
yes,
you know,
very good.
I think, Ramlodi, when you said you could never do that, you could never jump off a cliff. To me, it seems like you totally jumped off the cliff.
Yeah, the first to jump.
I know. Yes, I did. That. Yes, definitely. I
So-
agree.
Don't sell yourself short.
Yes.
You went right over the edge.
Yep. And he
Raghu
was
made
there
a
to
beautiful,
catch you.
yeah,
I said
Raghu
he
made
was
a
there to
beautiful
catch.
comment
Yeah.
on that thing that Babaji in the book Yogananda wrote. He speaks about Babaji's sister, that immortal Babaji had a sister, and in front of Gora, I've heard that Babaji had said that this was not true. Raghu came up with a beautiful story some weeks ago, where he explained to me, well, probably it is more like Haidakhandi Sri Ma. It's more like Durga, the Devi part of Babaji.
Yeah.
Babaji put that out as Ma. And that made a lot of sense to me, like the
Mhm.
female aspect of Babaji.
Yeah.
It is not a physical somebody, but it is this Durga or Haidakhandi Sri Ma, as we know, as Babaji's female part. So I think, yeah, that makes sense in to me. Yeah.
Yep. Well, just to go back now to experiences with Babaji, he used humor quite a lot in
Right.
helping us through things. Like he told me once, first he says one time we were going up the mountains and he says, "Oh, Imam, who's gonna marry you? You know, there's no hope for you. Nobody's gonna marry." Then a couple of weeks later, he tells me to get married to his white horse.
It's white horse.
The
Horse,
right
yeah.
horse.
Yeah. So I said, sure, why not? And then one time when after I was married to India and we're sitting in front of him, he looks at me, he says, "Imam, you're married now. You don't need wife. You give your wife to such and such." And I said, "Okay." And she was so upset. She said, "What do you mean, okay?" So, it was just humor to sort of shake us up or, teach us something. He would come, this happened quite a lot in front of me. He would walk up to somebody who was going through emotional problems that obviously was having a hard time, maybe crying, maybe just stuck in stuff. He would look at them like this in the eyes, close, right, right in front, and then say, "You happy?"
Psychotherapist.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, he's saying, "Look, man, who do you think is doing this to you? Are you happy with what you're doing to yourself? I mean, you happy?" And then the suite that you were talking about, Pujariji, one time he was lying on the little sort of mini wall that was outside his kutir with a big box of sweets in front of him. And he says, we're all surrounding, around him. And he says clearly to everybody, "I have sweets. You want, you come and get." It was very clear. It was like, hey, you want what I have to give you, the sweet, I'm here. You just come and get
Right.
it. Very simple.
I think the humor continues even, in this time where supposedly he is embodied again. But, for most of us, we don't have that experience yet. And I'm just thinking of this time I was maybe 6 years ago. I said, "Babaji, I really want to meet you, please, can I meet you in person, And that night we had a performance and we went to this space where we had the performance, and this very tall, maybe German or something, European fellow walks up to me and says, "Hi, I'm Babaji." Really? And then later, yeah, this happened a few times. I can't even remember the other times, but there was one other time when we were in Delhi, and again, I'm caught in something. Babaji, I really want to meet you, please. And so we go out to get a rickshaw,
Oh yeah.
and the driver looks exactly like young Babaji. Exact. And his energy was unbelievable. And
She was,
I was like, did you see that guy?
yeah, she was
Was
for
that
sure.
him?
Yeah, that this was Babaji.
But then I stood face to face with him just for maybe, I don't know, 5 seconds. It was a long 5 seconds. I looked into his eyes, and I don't know, who knows? It was very interesting.
Okay, so
Yeah.
talking about Babaji coming back, I was living in Seattle, Washington in the 90s, mid 90s, and I get a call on the phone. I pick up the phone and there's this woman saying, "Hi, I'm Shakti. I'm calling from New York." I said, "Great, Shakti, my name is Emam." She says, "No, I am Shakti." I said, "Good, I'm Imam." This went on a couple of times. And then she said, "Okay, hold on. Babaji wants to talk to you." So, okay. So this guy comes on, starts telling me that he's Babaji. I'm just listening to him. And then after some time, he realizes that I'm skeptical and he starts trying to convince me that he's Babaji. I said, "Listen, man, I don't want to waste your time or mine. If Babaji was to come back, the last thing he would do was to call me and try to convince me that he's Babaji." I said, "Really, man, don't waste your time. Don't call me ever again, please." And I hung up. And my idea about Babaji coming back is that I strongly believe that if he comes back, he's probably not going to Harakan. He already gave us, what, how many years? 14 years in Harakan, and some of us, let's say 6, 7 years or whatever. And if we didn't already get it, we're not going to get it. So he already gave us what he wanted us to get. He came here, he did it, we got it, and he left. Now, if he comes back, I feel like he's going to go help other people in other parts of the world, in India, wherever. But I really don't put much energy into expecting Baba to come back to Harakan. When people say, "When is he coming back to Harakan?" I say, "I have no idea. I don't think he is." That's my take on it. I know everybody has their own idea, but that's where I come from. I hope you don't mind me telling you.
No, but his message is flying around the world stronger than ever, I
Exactly.
believe. And
Exactly.
the pictures and the movies and the depth of the
Exactly.
message, it's really
That's
moving around the world. So
yes.
he is more present than 30 years ago.
Exactly. Yes. And those of us who actually were with him, we got his message better and better as the time went on.
Right.
After he passed away.
Right.
I mean, including all of you, I know this. We all got much more clear about what he was here for us for, what we got from him, what it meant to us, how to live it, what to do with it. It became much more clear.
We took
Now,
it personal, but he came for impersonal messages.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I really like what you said, Mahalakshmi, when you said you looked into this taxi driver's eyes for 5 seconds and it was Babaji. Now, was it Babaji? Well, I mean, what I got from that is that everyone is Babaji. Everyone, we all hold that. And that's how I've expressed this a few times, that now that we're reopened, we still have hundreds of people coming here, but it's more organized and we're not just washing dishes and cooking. So I actually have time to be with almost everyone. We sit out on the lawn, have chai and banana bread is what we serve. And I look into their eyes, and when I'm connected to Baba and centered, I just see also, I see the world, I see love, I see Baba in their eyes. And so I really loved what you said. I think
very nice.
Everywhere we look, when
Is
we're
Baba.
in tune is Baba. I'm just reading this book that someone from India who started listening to the satsangs and now quite involved, but has been with many, many gurus around India, sent me from this Krishna Bai or something, Sri Krishna Bai, a woman, a female, who was with Swami Ramdas from southern India, I think Kerala. And her story is just so amazing about that same thing of learning to see every person as they called their guru Papa. So she says, Papa, thank you for coming today in the form of this, person who is rambunctious and, not taste of somebody I would, but for me to learn to love that person just as they are. So for me, that's my my side is to see each person as the divinity, because like you said, we are all one. And Baba's not out there. Thank you.
All right.
I think for me, I can honestly say that, I never think of that Babaji left any more than he was ever here. I mean, my relationship has been the same with him forever. And it was kind of different because I spent a lot of time, and then he sent me to build a temple. And so when more people started to come to Haidakhandi, I didn't spend as much time there. And so I always spent a fair amount of time away from Babaji, but
it was amazing.
From Babaji,
I was there when you got the instructions to go build the temple and you left. Then I was there, happened to be there when you came back with the pictures. Remember when you came back and you showed them the pictures? We were all standing around looking at it going, amazing. I mean, I can't tell you enough how much respect I have for you over the years for what you did. It's just, to me, it was unbelievable. Really hard to believe. Maybe for people who don't know, you should say what you did. Because, I mean, I know you went to the forest and started cutting trees. I mean, by yourself, basically. I wasn't there to see it.
I don't think I was ever by myself, but
well, people helped you eventually, yeah. But
I think
started.
I honestly don't think it was that big a deal. It was just like Baba gives us stuff to do, and then we go out and do it.
Yeah,
I didn't do it particularly well compared to how I could have done it. I mean, honestly, we can always do better in whatever we do. I'm not hard on myself. I mean, I know I put my heart and soul into it. And at the same time,
show pictures. I mean, show pictures of the place before you started and after you were done. Then let people decide if it was easy or hard, man. It was no small task. I mean,
but he speaks about the level that we are not the doer. And sometimes you really feel like this. I know this energy, and you know this. You're a musician, so who's singing and who's playing? Sometimes there is no Imam, there's no Mahalakshmi. It just happens.
Yes.
That's the same with building an ashram or a temple or maintaining a temple. It is somehow it happens, but you can't claim this. There is not a somebody. There is not a somebody.
Well, yeah, I agree. It's just that physically speaking, my karma yoga and my task was much easier, and it still is. Who's got the speaker on, please?
Some echo.
Somebody's got this. Yeah, echo. So, I'm always amazed by people who do physically difficult tasks.
I think that's a key, though, Imam, is that we all have different things that are difficult for us.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
For me to get up on stage and be in front of thousands of people would be very difficult for me. For me to go to the forest and just start working was the easiest thing in the world.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
So,
great, thank you.
It's all, and just it's just all comes back to love, you know.
Yes, yes,
And the
yes.
more I learn, the less I know, and it's,
Yeah.
you know,
Thank
it's
you.
all, you can just say
Anyway,
it all in one word.
thank you for having done what you did. Thank you. I appreciate. Yes.
And Hiraman, I really love this this phrase, you jumped off the cliff. So that's what you did when Baba said, go build a temple in Hawaii. That's what you did, Pujari, when Baba said, go build a temple in, you know, in Holland. And, you know, we all jumped off our cliff, our safety zone of feeling like secure. We know what's going to happen and we can be in control, and which is just an illusion and, you know, a lie. And went for it and gave up, you know, what we thought, which was the illusion of security, and just went to what is the truth of being forever held.
Yeah.
Baba's arms.
Yes.
And then the rest, people ask me, are you going to be here the rest of your life? I said, how do I know? Baba may send me away tomorrow. I don't know.
Yes. Thank you, Pujari, for the beautiful ashram that you started in Holland. It's been my favorite ashram for a long time. Other than
Yeah,
Hong
yeah,
Kong,
come again. Yeah, but it's a miracle for me as well. No, I want to share that it's Babaji gave me once a sweater, which was because he didn't instruct me to build a temple or an ashram. That was Muniraji mostly, and my inner inspiration connected with Babaji. But Baba gave me a huge sweater, which was much too big for me, like extra, extra large, and with red, white, and blue stripes on it. So it looked like the Dutch or the Russian flag. I don't know how the stripes were planted, but it was red, white, and blue. It was much too big. I thought, well, what to do with it? No. Later, I gave it to my father because I thought, oh, well, there's beautiful energy from Babaji. I give it to my father. He put it in the cupboard. When I came back to him years later, I said, you still have the sweater? He said, no, it's much too big for me. I gave it to the Red Cross. So it went on and on. But it gave me a sign that was like, okay. And then he catch me. So we have to make islands in the sea, and we have to make ashrams in the world. And that was in my heart quite strong. And after his samadhi and with Munira, I said, no, I wanted to stay in Hirakan on the Gufa side. No, we have to do Babaji's work. Munira said immediately, only half is done. We have to go back to the west, start the work and build an ashram. He put me on that road immediately in 85. Wow. And it took 5 years before it really happened. And I had to work and start again music shops. But it went like automatic. Like I don't have the feeling that I did that. It was also not heavy, like Hiraman. It just happens. You can't say, I'm gonna do this. It doesn't work like that. It's not like I'm gonna do it. That it doesn't work. It comes, it happens. If you, what did somebody say in the beginning? If you're in tune, Babaji was in tune. How did you say that, Imam, in the beginning?
Yes.
The vibration is there, and it's light. It moves. No, the sun is it's happening. You don't really have to. If you take it heavy, you take the person in it, and it's really not the way it should be done. So it is that, the same way to address this. It happened, and I'm astonished about the beauty of the Dutch ashram myself, how it came about, the people participating, the people visiting, the people donating, how it's a magical thing and still going on. Next week I'm there. Next week I'm flying to Holland for the Navaratri. I'll be happily spending time there. But it's very flourishing. I'm so glad in my heart that I could give so much of my life, my time, my love, my energy, my money, everything put in that place, and to see it flourish. It's really, I'm so happy to go back there next week and to celebrate Navaratri. And I know we spent beautiful time there together, you recording, supporting, but many brothers, like others like Karaku, many have been there around and supporting India. And so I see the magic of an ashram that Baba really, he foretold that we would do that. But we can't claim anything. No, you never played the tabla. It just happened. Ramloti.
I just want to say that, Baba said, make islands as there are, or make ashrams like there's islands around in the sea, the world of, materialism. And I want to also point out that I think it's quite like, I'm sure when you and Mahalakshmi are playing music and you're just there with the people, you are like an ashram in that moment, a place where people can come and refresh. And each one of us, in that sense, in our whole lives, can make an ashram wherever we are with our heart and our connection with people. It can just even be that one-on-one. So it doesn't mean building a big structure, which is amazing, just like Pujari. When I look at what comes in and what comes out, I can never tell you how we have this place here financially. It's all Baba's grace and miracle for sure. So just want to say that we all are building ashrams as ever we do with our connection and love. And I wanted to use this great segue that Pujari won't be with us next Saturday because he's going to be flying to Holland.
Right.
That's him. But in 3 weeks after that, he's going to be leading a satsang after Navratri in Holland with hopefully more Holland folks. And it'll be a beautiful satsang about Navratri, about Holland, and hearing some more of the Dutch people that he's going to invigorate. But I did want to say that next week's going to be about Sastriji, preparing for Navratri. So our old Sastriji who read the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam and would talk and was called himself the shadow of Babaji, would sleep in his room. And I mean, I remember one story, I can't remember who told it, but asking Sastriji, well, what did you do when you were in Babaji's room? Maybe Raghu asked him, I can't remember.
Yeah.
All this time. And he said, I was just reading the Devi Bhagavatam or the Saptasati to Babaji. And didn't he get tired of it? Like, no. So anyway, so that's what's going to happen this same time next week. And I'm inviting everyone who has a personal experience with Sastriji to come and share it because, he was a huge part of many of our journeys, including the ashram journey here. So same time and same place. So.
Shastriji is no more.
What, Rakesh?
I'm sorry. Shastriji, is he also no more in physical body?
He left his body 12 years ago. He was 98, I think, when he left his body quite a while ago. Yes, but there's many devotees. I will post this week a beautiful video or CD, whatever you call them these days, of Sastriji that Raghavir made. That's absolutely beautiful, short, and then you'll learn a lot more about him. But
he was a devotee.
Go ahead.
Devotee, okay.
He was a devotee of Mahendra Maharaj. And in 1970, in the very beginning, when Babaji came, Mahendra Maharaj had given Sastriji a mantra by which he could recognize that Babaji was the reincarnation of the immortal Babaji. That was through Mahendra Maharaj, who had many appearances of Babaji. And it was happened in Vrindavan that Babaji, when he went for darshan for Babaji, Babaji called him in his room, and then the mantra that Mahendra Maharaj had given to Sastriji sounded all in this room, came out of Babaji, out of the wall. It was just completely filled in this room. So then he stepped out of that room and said, yes, it is Babaji, it is the immortal Babaji. It is, so all the devotees from old Haidakhandi Baba also were very impressed and happy to hear that Sastriji could announce that this was really the reincarnation of old Haidakhandi Baba and the immortal Babaji. So there's a lot to share next week. I won't be there, but I will see it later. Yeah. But he's a very, very important, a beautiful, beautiful, loving soul who he could see our futures. He told people he was the most positive person you can imagine. Always positive feelings and thoughts about everybody and everything. Amazing, amazing, beautiful man.
Baba used to play jokes with him and do all kinds of, he would shave his mustache in so many different ways and weird ways. It was just amazing. It was just having fun with him. Yes.
So
right.
Whoops. Yeah, we didn't get it.
So did anybody have any quick question? I wanted to ask this morning, evening, wherever we are in the world, Imam and Mahalakshmi to end with one of their bhajans, because we're very fortunate to be with them. So did anybody have a quick comment before we ask everybody to mute? I think most people are muted because it seems to work better if we let the musicians sing and play and we enjoy it and we mute and then we just sing along, but it never syncs up on Zoom. So better that we sing and have a great time, but we stay muted as we listen.
So yeah, any questions, any last remarks?
Other than thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
So now we get to enjoy your music.
Okay, so we're going to do a short version of Guru Mantra. And we're going to have this little tempura here. Turn it up a little bit. Yeah. It's in a 7-beat cycle, so we will sing it once. It's very short. We'll sing it once, then you're familiar with it, then you can sing again. We'll sing it again. You can sing with us. Okay? And the rhythm is like the Taki te taka demi. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. Like this. Or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So Taki te taka demi taki. Are you on?
I think so.
Speaker?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on, right?
All
Yeah.
right, good. Taki te taka demi taki te taka. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Dhyana Moolam Gurur Murti Puja Moolam Gurur Padam Mantra Moolam Gurur Vakyam Moksha Moolam Guru Kripa. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Dhyana Moolam Gurur Murti Puja Moolam Gurur Padam Mantra Moolam Gurur Vakyam Moksha Moolam Gurur Kripa. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Okay. If you want, we can sing it one more time. You can sing along. I mean, I know your mics are not on, but you have an idea. You know the words. Okay. Here we go. Takita, taka, demi, takita. Om Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Para Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Dhyana Moolam Gurur Murti, Puja Moolam Gurur Padam, Mantra Moolam Gurur Vakyam, Moksha Moolam Gurur Kripa. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Dhyana Moolam Gurur Murti Puja Moolam Gurur Padam Mantra Moolam Gurur Vakyam Moksha Moolam Gurur Kripa. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Bole Baba ki Jai Mahamaya ki Jai. Om Namah Shivaya.
Bye.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh,
What a
thank
real
you all. Thank you all. This has
Thank
been
you.
wonderful. Thank you so much.
treasure. And please join us anytime you're
Okay.
available to
Okay.
share. If next week about Sastri, it's, as you see, many of us remember stories that perhaps we forgot. So
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
See you all next week. Bole Baba
Yay.
Ki Jai.